this is a demonstration of something that I was talking about recently with Veer and Plup. It is a interaction in terms of when you do air swimming, you have to quit out between areas to avoid dying. And that is because the borders, or whatever you want to call them, of the map, so where they connect with each other, are littered with death planes. These death planes will not show if you use like something like this. As you can see right now, it looks pretty open, but like pretty much anywhere here where I can move. I think I can go up a little so we can get a better view. Pretty much anything out here, if I swim out to any of that too far, something that looks like that will load in right as you touch it, and I will die. I guess I will try that now. I'll just swim this way. Okay, so here I'm over the map. I think if I swim down here, I should die. What's the down swim button again here? Oh wait, do I have no dead on? Make sure I don't have that. Oh, actually, I think it happens later down. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. So, right there, as you could see, I have the mesh viewer on, and you couldn't see that there was one there. So, what we're kind of lacking is a way to... Let me reload the save, and I'll try the other thing that I wanted to show. What we're critically lacking is a tool to display these. And as far as I have looked with debug menu and with cheat engine around where you have the rest of the rendering tools, so obviously these are debug functions left in the game that the developers forgot to take out. So this function, for example, is entirely like the developers. So within that sort of region of where you can find that general thing inside of the game, I looked and I couldn't find an option that would ever show these invisible death planes. Some death planes you can't see, like this down here, this the top one here, the this one, oh, it's actually a better example over there, the purple one or blue one here. That is the death cam plane, where when you pass through it, it will give you the top-down camera. Then the bottom one here is what we would call a void-out plane, where when you pass through it, you'd get the black screen and get teleported back up, because in this game you don't get one shot by fall damage. Although it is able to kill you if you have too little HP. There is also, if we swim over here, there is a kill plane that we should be able to see. That isn't a void out plane, but is an actual kill plane, and it is that one down there. I guess it actually looks exactly like this one, but that was added in. This death plane was added in above the monkeys arena to fix a glitch that speedrunners used on the old patch. That you can see in older no air swim attempts. You gotta go before 2024 to find runs with that. And I guess actually we also do a skip now in the new route, still on the old patch in 2024, where we go through where this would be, but it's less apparent why that is an issue. So yeah, for instructional purposes or for learning purposes, I suggest you look up an older run that uses the early monkeys glitch. And I guess you could even watch my video that explains the route, but it may not give you as much information as watching the full video of a run. Okay, I forgot what I was talking about, but it's something death planes, right? So I wanted to show you how visually it looks when you hit a death plane, because there is if I can remember where we go here. I think that should be good. I'm just trying to remember where to air swim to. So, as I mentioned earlier, or maybe I didn't, when you air swim around, you gotta quit out a bunch because of these dev planes. For some reason that I thought I knew, but I guess I don't actually know, is these dev planes will they will disappear when you quit out in certain spots. Okay, and I think I can tell I didn't quit out in the right spot. I think this is the stone you gotta quit out in. Okay, yeah. So you see, right in front of me, I'm not gonna swim into it because it's gonna waste me a lot of time, but right in front of me here is a dev barrier. And by quitting out here, hopefully I do it in the right place, and we should be loaded into the next area here, which is, this is where the Senpo map and the Sunken Valley map connects. And the reason that we can just switch map like that is because the other map at this point, at this place we are, it's loaded in as an adjacent map. So that allows us to actually like load into it. And you see now the terrain is like different. Now that we got in, you can see it's different things that are loaded in. You see, like, if we look back, we can't even see like that much of the Senpo map anymore. We can only see this little part here, which is like a connecting part that I believe will be loaded no matter what. We can also see that actually Gunfort is loaded, but that's because now we are in the next area here where Gunfort is a an adjacent. Oh, I guess it's part of the Sunken Valley map really, but yeah. So with this strat, we would swim down here. And then we would get down to the water. But I want to show that right here, there looks like there's nothing. But actually there's a dev plane here. Somewhere around here. That I hit a lot back in the day when I used to play this. This route. Oh, I believe this is it. No. This is the zone. Okay, yeah. Okay, there it was. I don't know if this gray thing that you just saw, if that is actually what the depth barrier is, or if that's just a visual glitch. But essentially, it will show as gray. I'm gonna do it one more time. And actually, I think I'll just pause the video in... I'll just pause the video here and quickly go look at it, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I just had a look at a video to just remember the exact spot where I needed to swim to, because I do vividly remember this thing happening where, you know, instead of swimming forwards, I'd accidentally tap like this and go backwards into the dev plane. That happened to me a lot back in the day, and I just want to show how that looks, because it gives you like, it does a visual down. It makes a visual effect, like it kind of like as you collide with it. So I guess I'll explain the I'll quickly explain a theory that I kind of posted out on the glitch Discord today, which is that these collisions are only visible when you touch them. So the way that loading in areas work is that they can be like adjacent, loaded as adjacent maps, which is, in my view, it's essentially like, oh, this map needs to be ready to be loaded in a bit. So therefore we place it in like a loading state where it is kind of loaded, but it's not really loaded, so that we can quickly load it in when the player gets close enough to be able, or when he needs to, you know, use it. So I don't know how you would call that, but generally speaking, it is called adjacent, like adjacent map, because I believe that is the terminology used with some of the modding tools. And so these collisions are invisible because they're not loaded in, but you can collide with them because because it's loaded in as an adjacent map. That is the theory, at least. So here, it doesn't look like there's anything, but if I do this, I should die. Yes. So again, you couldn't see that depth plane there. And I think also earlier I died with the mesh viewer on, where you couldn't even see the mesh or the collision plane. Because, yeah, I might have said this already, but as far as we know, the depth planes in this game are essentially just a very rudimentary, like, it's essentially just a shape. Like, as with literally anything in the game, it's just a shape. Very simple shape that is invisible to, like, the player. And then it has a flag on it that says, when you touch it, kill it. So, it's not, like, specially classified in a way where you'd be able to, like, kind of, you know, chase them down by IDs or something like that, you know, by them having some sort of unique footprint or something like that, because they are just like they are just planes, you know, like they're just a piece of geometry that is invisible. And there are plenty of invisible geometries that are used for various different things, like trigger boxes for events, like when you go into a boss fight and it changes your camera, for example, and the boss aggroes and starts the music and all of that. That is like, some of those are triggered by these event trigger boxes, and that's just like one type of other geometry that's invisible. There's tons and tons of them, and it just so happens that, you know, we don't really have the tools to separate them out by category, kind of, you know? Like, imagine if we had a tool where, okay, I press this button, then I can see all the depth planes. I press this button, then I can see all of the, like, event trigger boxes for, you know, bosses and enemy aggro and enemy starting, you know, that pathing and such, or other things of that nature. The only tool that we have is this one that the developers made, where you can see essentially what you can collide with. There are a few variations of this one that, you know, I have looked through, and none of them contain this thing with the depth planes, although there are some interesting ones for sure in there. And also there is a chance that I am just like missing it when looking through the things. So it may just be like right under my nose, but it seems as though the only, or the real way that we would go about getting this is that someone would have to go through debug menu and sit through the entire list of collisions or hit instances, I believe it calls it in the debug menu, and look at every single one of them, and then compile a list of all of the ones that are depth planes, and then we'd have to do some, you know, some modding, some reverse engineering and stuff to make a script that would just enable all of those with one button press, kind of individually. Whereas with this, it's literally just changing a 0 to a 1 in memory, and that's super simple. Like, even I can make this work. Yeah. So I guess I'll just show, as a finishing, I'll show this with the mesh viewer on to see if it loads in for a second. It does not. It's still invisible. So again, there is a chance that I just don't have the right settings. I haven't found just, you know, the right thing to tick inside of the debug menu, or the right memory values to change, like in with this tool. But I think that it doesn't exist, but I could be wrong. Yeah. I think that was all I wanted to say. I guess look in the pinned comment for any corrections I might have later, because it's very, very likely that some of this information will be outdated at some point. And I don't want you to be like, you know, looking at information that is outdated and think it is correct. Right, yeah. Yeah, that's it.